Hi, I'm Jeremy with Poindexter G, and today we're going to talk about the U.S. Rifle Caliber 30 M1, also known as the Garand. So the first thing we'll go over will be the actual name of this rifle, which is, as I stated earlier, U.S. Rifle Caliber 30 M1, but it's better known by the name Garand, named after its creator, John Garand, and yes, he did pronounce his name Garand, but everyone ended up calling the thing the Garand, and that is the name that it is known by. The M1 Garand served from 1936 to 1958, although they did start work on it in 1928. It was the U.S. military's standard issue rifle and was the first semi-automatic standard issue rifle from any of the major powers. Not the first semi-automatic rifle from one of the militaries, but the first standard issued one. While the Garand is known for its role in World War II, it was also used during the Korean War and was given out as military aid to many other countries all over the globe who used it for quite a long time. Some militaries still using this rifle. Normally I would start off going over all the controls on the rifle, showing you how to work it, but I'm going to start off with a warning about something that you don't want to get that many Garand owners get. What you don't want to get is M1 thumb. Okay, so what actually is M1 thumb? Well, M1 thumb is basically getting your thumb smashed by the bolt. When the bolt comes out of this locked position and comes forward, it comes forward with a lot of force, and it's very easy to trip it with your thumb in there and get all kind of nasty, gnarly things done to your thumb. So basically, I'll show you how the bolt comes forward on this. What I'll do is hold the charging handle to keep it from sliding forward because I can control it with that. I will push down on the follower. I can already feel the bolt sliding forward now, and as soon as I let go of it, bam! If your thumb was in there, it wouldn't feel very good right now. So let me show you how to avoid this before we start with anything else. So a few things you can do to keep the bolt from slamming on you is either keep your hand on the charging handle like this or keep your wrist up against it there so that it can't come forward. When you push down on the follower, the bolt won't release until you let off the follower and start going up. So once you start to lift your thumb up out of there, get it out of there really quick. And the other thing that people will do is they won't lock the bolt back all the way. Let me show you properly back all the way and not back all the way and why that's important. In this position, the bolt is locked into place. You can bang on the charging handle. That is a gunshot, not from me. With the bolt locked into this position, it is somebody's having some fun out there. In this position, the bolt is locked into place. It can't go forward. You can push on this all you want, it won't go. You can bang on the rifle, it won't go. It's not going to slide forward as long as it is locked into this position. When the bolt is in this position, partially resting on the follower, it is not locked into position. You can see here a little bit of the bolt head sticking out and resting on the follower. If you can see that bolt head, it's not locked into place. When it's like that, it won't take very much to make it slap forward. So remember, when you lock it into place, lock it back all the way to where you can't see any of the bolts sticking out here over the follower. Make sure when you're working with the follower that you have a hand either like this or like that to keep it from sliding forward. And when you push down on the follower, when you bring your hand out, bring it out quick. Now that I've gone over all that, I can show you the controls on the rifle here, and there's not a whole lot. One that you need to be aware of is the safety, which is located right here on the trigger guard. It's very simple to use. When it's out like this, it's fire. When it's pushed in, it's safe. Basically, to undo it, you'd have to put your finger in there and push it forward. The controls for the rear sight are very simple. Basically, this side on the left is your elevation. As you turn it, you'll see the peep sight go up. As you turn it back the other way, it goes down. All the way down is basically a point blank. When you go up to the first marked notch, which will be 12, that doubles as your 100-yard mark. Then you'll have your 200, 400. It'll go up past 1200 up to about 1300, which is very optimistic for peep sights. The 100 mark should be about 8 clicks up from the stop. The knob on the right is the windage. You'll see marks here in the center to show how far to the left or to the right you are. This is pretty simple. So this rifle has a pretty interesting way that the cartridges are loaded into it. They don't go in with an external magazine because it has an internal magazine with its own follower. What it uses is a clip. Yes, the thing that loads this rifle is actually called a clip. The difference between a clip and a magazine is that a clip just holds the rounds in there. It doesn't have anything to push them forward, it just loads them in. To load the Garand, you basically put the clip in right there and push down on it. This is where you don't want to get M1 thumb. You can either hold back the follower and push that down, or use the side of your hand and push it in, which is the military approved way of doing it. Once you push it in there and get it all the way down, the bolt will either slap forward or pause like this, and it'll depend on the particular rifle which one it does. Mine usually tends to stick on it, but not all of them do. If it does stick, you basically just give the charging handle a pop and she goes forward like that. So if you want to unload it, that's where that button right there comes into effect. Basically, you push the handle back, it's going to spit one round out. You then push the button here, that pops the clip out, and it's out. The M1 Garand is chambered in the 30-06 cartridge. This is the same cartridge that this rifle's predecessor, the M1903, also used, although it was designed to run on M2 ball specifications, which is not what most modern 30-06 is made to. So, if you want to shoot modern ammunition out of your Garand, you've got to do one of two things. You've either got to find reproduction ammo or some old milsurp. There is some reproduction ammo made through Cellular and Bellet and PPU, and also Winchester is starting to make some. But you need to look and make sure that you're getting stuff that is loaded for the M1 Garand. It will say this on the packaging or very clearly on the website where you're ordering it from. There is a way to run other ammunition through it, and I'll go over that in a bit. But first, I want to show you how to load one of these clips. So loading the rounds into the clip can be a little bit annoying. There's some machines that can do this for you, but they're pretty pricey, and you can just do it by hand easiest. One thing to remember is to make sure you push all the rounds all the way to where the back of it is up against that. If they're in here unevenly and you have some that are sticking out further, they can catch on the receiver and not load in all the way. It's easy up to 7. The 8th one just has to basically push in on the top like that, which it will fight you and not want to go in. But eventually it'll go, and there we go. They're loaded in the clip. Now the rifle has a buttstock storage area on it, and what I have in mind is basically just an old cleaning kit. This tool here, which is used for a number of different things on the rifle. It's a handle for the cleaning kit, and it can also take out the gas plug. And speaking of the gas plug, I have a second gas plug here. This gas plug is the Schuster gas plug, which is not something that came standard on this. It's a modern invention, which basically lets you put new ammunition through there. It can keep adjust the amount of gas that's going through there to keep the pressure and the op rod speed while it is operating, to keep it from destroying itself. Basically, it's pretty much you put this in and do adjustments on it until it starts to cycle the ammunition all the way. If it's not cycling, it needs to be turned in more. If it is cycling, it's either good or needs to be backed off a little bit, and you just have to play with it until it gets there. And I'll show you how to take the gas plug off during the disassembly. Another part we have on here is the stacking swivel. This is not a broken sling loop. This is basically designed so you can hook 3 rifles together, stand them up like a teepee. Why would you want to do that? Well, when you got the servicemen out in the middle of nowhere needing to put their rifles down, well, if you don't give them some means, they'll just throw them in the dirt. So you have the stacking swivel so you can hook them together and keep them out of the dirt and standing up, and that's a good idea. The last thing I'll go over is the bayonet lug here. This is the same type of bayonet lug that was on the M1903 and also on the Krag Jorgensen. So bayonets from a 1903 and the Krag Jorgensen will fit the M1 Garand. That would be this type here, which will slide on just like that. And there you go. Nice bayonet on there. This button here allows you to pull that off. We also have a bayonet that was made for the M1 Garand. Instead of having the loop on it that goes around the barrel, we have this little bump right here that fits into the open area on the gas plug. Basically, that slides on like that, and it goes on just like the other one, and just like the other one, push the button and it removes. So the first step in disassembly of the M1 Garand will be removing the trigger assembly. Now there's 2 different types of trigger assemblies. There's the stamped type that I have here and the milled type, which have an additional hole back here. Basically, they discovered that they could stamp these and they would be just fine. If you have a stamped trigger guard, you can just grab it and pull back. If you have a milled trigger guard, it's designed to where you can stick the nose of a round in there and pull it back, but you could also use an Allen wrench or a cleaning rod or anything else that you have that will fit in there. Basically, what we'll want to do is pull back on this, then lift forward. You'll see it start to rise a little bit, and then this will simply just lift out like that. Once you get the trigger assembly out, you're going to want to remove the lower stock from it. And it's basically just going to be bang on it like that, and she'll pop right out. We'll then set this out of the way so that we don't do anything to it. And now we have all of this. Now we're ready to start disassembling everything here in the barreled receiver. You'll then want to grab this piece right here. You can also grab that. You're going to have a good bit of spring pressure going against you there. So just pull it back and forward. And your whole op rod spring will come out. The next thing you'll need to do then will be to remove a pin that's located right there. You can basically take a nose of a round or anything else that you have and push in there, and that will come out just like so. After removing that pin, the other parts will start coming out. So you should have these 4 parts right here that all came out. Next, you'll want to take the op rod out. It's basically going to be just pull it back till you get to a spot where it will fall out like that, and it just comes right out. The bolt can be a little tricky to get out. Usually I just push down from under here and pull up on this bit. Usually it will come at an angle where it will go right out like that. We'll take the gas cylinder off. I'm going to use this tool here, but there are other tools that can do it. You can also just use a really, really large flathead screwdriver to do it. It'll basically fit right inside that. And it unscrews like so. One thing you'll notice on the gas plug is that it's spring loaded to where if you take something and push into there, you'll see it actually pop up and down there. That is so you can stick the grenade launcher onto this. It basically pushes that in to release the pressure on it. Then once you take the gas plug off, this piece right here will unscrew. You'll then be ready to remove the gas cylinder. If it's stuck, you can just bang on the bayonet lug right there and that'll knock it loose. That'll come off, and then the foregrip will come off. And you've basically got it completely disassembled now. Okay, reassembly is just going to be reversing the process. That one to start with. Take this guy. Thread this back on. Then put this back in. Just give it a good crank there just to make sure it's in place. You'll then want to put the bolt back in. Basically you just have to stick it in at the right angle and she'll slide in like that. Then the op rod goes in. This notch right here has to go inside a hole there. Then it'll go move forward. So we can flip it over. Okay, now we're going to work on putting all these pieces back into here, and as long as you put them in the right order and right ones attached to each other, it'll go okay. We'll start off with the follower, which is a piece that has this little bit here. We're going to take it aligned like that, stick it here and drop it in like so. We next take this piece and orient it like this. These little grooves right here will go into that spot and slide in like that. Going to take this piece here, and basically this arm here has a little notch that it has to go under, and then this part of this piece has to go underneath this little latch right there, and as long as you get both those pieces together properly, it'll fit right. You can push on it there and feel some pressure as you push on it. That's how you know you've got it in there right. Then have to put this piece on, which will be oriented like that. This bit here has to slide inside the little groove on the follower, and then this will line up with the other holes here so that the pins can go through it. Just stick it through at an angle like that and turn it, slide it into there, and drop that into place. And then take the pin and drive it in from that side. Once you slide the op rod spring back in, this right here just grabs onto that where it was at before. This has got a lot of spring pressure, but it will go in there. And then it's on there. You can test the function of it. You can push this button and see this pop right here. You can push this back, it'll hold into place. Push down the follower and let that go forward, and it'll also go into place there. It's then going to be a matter of putting the stock back on. It generally has to go in at an angle like this, right there. That'll go in. And then lastly, you put the trigger assembly back in. Just like that. And that'll go forward and pop back into place, and you have a fully assembled and functional rifle. And that's all you need to know about the M1 Garand. If you like this video, be sure to like, share, or comment. If you didn't, or subscribe. And if you didn't like it, well, keep that to yourself.